What the Kosher Clinician said was, a hopeless man is a broken man. A hopeless man is a broken man. This is a very deep and passionate statement, a deep and passionate claim. But this claim is very personal to me. Let's talk about it. I was once this man. I was once a man who had to sit here and reflect back on my life, and while I've had many successes, I've had many failures. While I've created great paths for many people, I've also left a trail of destruction. But I'm going to tell you that sometimes we need help, my brothers, just like I needed help. And a lot of times we're crying out for help, but we really don't know where to get that help from. And you know, there comes a time when a man must take a stand against the immoral acts of other men, regardless of the consequences he may have to face.
What this all before?
Now I'm back because I've been working on Emancipated Studio. Emancipate your mind, which means it's time to free your mind. All right, can y'all hear us in the chat?
What's going on, Uncle Stu?
Hear us in the chat. What's going on, sir? Let me lower this monitor here. All right. So is everyone able to hear us in the chat? Excellent, excellent. Well, I hope all of y'all enjoyed the video. I know there was a lot of questions in the chat. So moderators, I put the link in the chat. So if anyone want to come up, ask questions, or if you just want to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to do so, and everything else. How you doing, Miss Patrice? Yeah, let me put the link in the chat. And so everyone knows we're just going to discuss the exact video that we had played today, things that's in it. If you got any questions about it, feel free to come up, ask any questions. Give me your thoughts, your ideas when it comes to the video and the video itself. I told you, what's his name? More likely fell asleep. He was on that long live stream. So I know he was exhausted. Okay, so I guess everything that we said on the live stream, everyone understood. All right, come on up. Well Talk Productions. And Kareem, why don't you also come up because you had certain questions as well, and I like to address those questions too. Oh, there you go. What's up, Miss Kareem? Kareem.
It's Kareem. Kareem, you there?
Kareem, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you. Okay, she popped off. She'll come back. What's going on, sir?
How you doing, Uncle Stu? You guys can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Let me get the YouTube off.
So what you got to add, or what do you think?
I mean, like we watched it the first time. It's pretty much straight on everything chord.
Okay.
Because I think, if anything, just break off piece by piece of the argument. I mean, as far as the statements here and there.
When you talk about part of the argument, help me with that understanding. Give me a clear understanding.
No, I'm just basically meaning just break down everything you basically said. Like, just break it down in sections, and we can just talk about that piece by piece.
Okay, so what you're saying is go back over the video
and just create more dialogue.
Kind of give a better detailed narration.
Yes, yeah, create more dialogue.
Okay, what would you say needs, let's say, more clarity? Like if I was to do something dealing with that clarity, what would you say?
I think you just break it down more, because I know people just eventually came like later down in the videos, so I know they didn't catch almost everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I know that on Intentional Millionaire site, he got the whole link up. Once I get through here, I'm going to kind of break it up, and so that way there's like a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3. So that way people can see part 1 and be able to, speak on exactly, comment on whatever part. And then, as I stated before, we are definitely going back, probably do a part 2 of this particular video based on the responses we get. I don't know if we're going to stick to those questions per se, unless, people, is adding some things. And then, yes, we will definitely do that. Let me just give a quick shout out. Pastor Troy Smith, welcome, my brother. It is a blessing to have the anointing of God show up in here today. So bless you, bless you. I don't know, Pastor, if you saw the video, but hopefully from the dialogue you get from the panel, if you want to add, please feel free to join the panel. All right. I see you, Genesis 1. I appreciate you. Welcome, welcome. I see the colors. Kareem always come with a crew. So I'm looking for the rest of Kareem's crew, because, she come hard, boy. She 25 with a 21-year-old, but she come with a whole posse of people. So I gotta look out for the posse.
Wally, shut.
No. Let's look here. Cause we all know where Kareem at. Okay.
Hey, y'all know Kareem don't come alone now. She don't travel singular.
You got an entourage.
Yeah, she got an entourage.
Hey there, Genesis. I'm Jamaican too, so that's where he's trying to.
See what I mean? See what I mean?
All right,
You
walk
got the
sistering.
crew.
She went out and came back in with a crew.
I'm trying to tell you.
So Genesis, what
One Kareem.
Sorry?
I said, what do you think? How did you like the video? What did you think, or anything fresh or negative or?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a bit nervous because I haven't done a live stream in quite a few months. So if my voice shakes, just, bear with me. Bear with me.
Don't worry. If we say anything wrong, Kareem gonna get us. So you covered.
Yeah, and so I've got my Jamaican colors on. I have to represent for sure. Absolutely. I am Jamaican, but I do live in Toronto.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm repping Jamaica all the way. So hi, everybody.
Hey.
Wow.
Yeah, I really loved the video. I saw it before, and I was really pleased that you were going to do a rebroadcast and then a follow-up with the information. I totally agree with everything that you've said. I'm not really so familiar with the socialist aspect of it, because remember when you did the poll and I mentioned that was there a not sure on the poll, because I'm not really so familiar with the term of the socialist thing and all of that. But I do like the fact that you mentioned about we as Black people have to stop thinking, and if I'm paraphrasing it, then correct me.
Okay.
We have to stop thinking in just the singular motion of what we're doing. We've got to start thinking globally. We have to start thinking further than the block that we live, or the town that you live in, or the city, province, or its states over there, right, in America.
Correct.
As a collective, we really have to start getting it together, because if not, we're going to be completely left behind.
That's correct.
It's happening. It's happening on a global scale. And the mindset has to shift to a degree where it's an absolute rebirth, because if not, we're going to just die.
That's absolutely correct. The reason that I make that a point, because Kareem had asked a question about niche marketing, and marketing is one thing, but you can, let's take the argument that you're just a Jamaican cook. You're bringing in the Jamaican seasonings and you're a Jamaican cook. Well, you want to develop a restaurant where all of your Jamaican food can go all over the place. So like in Brooklyn, where I was born and raised in Manhattan, but you had a lot of Jamaican immigrants that lived in Brooklyn. Well, they started setting up restaurants. And what did they do? They took those restaurants. They didn't care if it was just Jamaicans eating. They wanted everybody to eat. So they built those restaurants. And then what they did, they took the money that they made off of those restaurants and started buying real estate. Now they had restaurants, they had real estate, they had something called a dollar van, which is similar to like a bus or a van, to go up and down because transportation was horrible. So here these people was hustling, making money, but they didn't care whether it was a Black person buying Jamaican food or the white person buying Jamaican food. Everybody was buying. Why? Because everybody wanted Jamaican food. You see what I'm saying? And so they didn't sit up there and say, well, you're not Jamaican and we only going to sell to Jamaicans. That's not how that worked. They said, hey, we specialize in Jamaican food. Our employees may be from Jamaica because they know how to season the food. That's what's Jamaican. Outside of that, everything else is whoever's going to buy it, they're going to buy it. And the ones that, let's say, really got into their restaurant, they took their restaurant from maybe a hole in the wall to a nice restaurant. So all of a sudden they were setting up in white neighborhoods that wanted that food. You see? So for me, what I'm trying to get, especially here in America, is to get black people to stop saying, well, I have a black-owned business. I only want to buy black. I only want to sell to black. Well, it's only 13% of us. And the reality is we're not even 13% nationally. So if I'm in a city, how am I reaching 13% in the United States? And we cannot say that we got a product that every single person in the United States is going to buy from us, whether that's a sneaker, whether that's a hat, whether that's a t-shirt. We don't even have a platform where we can say we dominate 13% or even 1% of black people. You see, so we have to begin to drop these labels and begin to look globally. If you had something to teach me, if Kareem had something to teach me, I'm not going to sit up there and say, oh, no, I don't want to learn nothing from y'all because y'all Jamaican. I'm Black American. I done destroyed my business, my information, my knowledge, all because I'm thinking this way. And then I justify it by saying, well, you know, white people did this. No, well, white people used all the knowledge they could to do what they had to do.
And just to add to that, one of the things they've been good at is they make sure they study the demographics and they put people that look like the demographics or can cater to their demographics to move more products and services.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was chomping at the bit because I was totally agreeing with what you were saying, and also too, I was just focusing on selling only to black people. Okay, but again, like you said, the 13%. How do you corner that market, and how are you guaranteed that the exact 13% they're going to buy your goods? But not only that, we don't think globally or internationally about black people abroad, right? It's always the focusing on in that community. And again, how do we do that? Do we know about distribution? Do we know about international laws? Do we even know how to patent? Like get a patent of the thing that you're selling or your design or your whatnot? I mean, we don't even know how to patent something. When we have something and then it gets quote unquote, can you see my quote unquote stolen, we're the first ones on the bandwagon. Oh, this was stolen for me, that was stolen for me. But did you do your research? Did you actually put that $1,500 in to get your patent, or however the cost is? Did you get with a patent lawyer? Did you research? Did you even Google the name to see if it's owned by somebody else? Those tiny steps. And the thing that somebody's probably going to say, I'm not here, but the universal person will say, well, we don't know about this and we don't know about that. I call bull on those things because we're in the age of technology. These little things that we have here can get you any information you want on a phone, laptop, whatever. I can't afford internet. There's free internet practically everywhere. You can go to the library and get free internet if you can't afford it. You can go to the mall and use their internet if you can't afford it. You can go to a coffee shop and use their internet if you can't afford it. So we really need to come out of the mindset of it can't be done, somebody's going to steal it, there's so many things against me, blah, 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 blah. And, let me know if I'm rambling on, but the thing that really, really irks me is that we talk about what we were doing back in the day and what we should be doing in the future. It's never about what are we doing now. What are we doing now? We always hear Black people were so advanced back in the 60s and, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And yet there were specific laws in place to stop you from doing anything as a Black person. This is 2021. We're heading into 2022 in what, 32 days? Are we still going to have the same argument? We need to move away from the argument. Yes, we know that slavery exists, and I'm not diminishing that in any way, shape, or form. But are we still going to be beating that same drum on the souls of our dead ancestors who gave their life? What are we doing? How are we honoring them if we can't move forward and be a productive member of society and bring back the love and the trust and the caring and the common decency of how to even speak to each other? We're going to be lost. I mean, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so
keep going. You're good. Keep going.
You speaking facts. Because
facts.
What I hear you saying, Genesis, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have got so far away from standards that we use anything to take us from getting back to having a foundation.
Absolutely. I just think
Hmm.
the respect, the respect is so lost. I remember growing up in Toronto. Even in Jamaica, you would never ever pass another black person on the street without acknowledging them. Never.
Yeah.
That was never heard of. That was, it wouldn't happen. Now you say hello to somebody and it's like you're, asking them to, give you your life savings or something. They're so shocked. They're so taken aback by it. How did we get to the point where we can't even say hello to each other? What, like, when did the tide shift? When did the tide shift? I just think we need to come back to the decency of who we are as people. Just the decency of who we are as people, and understand and realize that we are going to be left behind. Nobody's coming to save us. We better get it together and start saving ourselves. How do we heal the community? How do we bring back the trust, the love, the decency before we even start about global domination?
Hmm.
um, one of the reasons why Intentional Millionaire told you to keep going is because these are the exact conversations that if you want to call it back channel conversations that we have, um, which is those conversations to say, okay, we got it. We know what happened in slavery. We got it. We know some bad things happened during the Reconstruction. We got it. But now, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna wait for people to pay us money, to give us grants, to do all this stuff that is going to be almost virtually impossible to prove who did what, when, where, and how? Or are we just going to do what we need to do now and move forward? Um, so yes, I'm in total agreement with what you just said, and that's exactly where I'm headed. Whether it's only going to be a few of us that's going to get it done, or majority of us, I got to try to use this platform to move the ball forward. As much as I make jokes, dealing with hold on, y'all. I gotta hold on. Intentional Millionaire. Take this real quick. Let me grab this. This is JB.
Okay. So anybody got anything else? Miss Kareem, do you have anything you want to add? But Miss Genesis definitely did a great summary, because that's what Uncle Stu said. That's kind of what we kind of talked about when we even decided to do the stream.
Hmm. Well, for me, I mean, I agree with what she's saying, but I wanted to go back to the niche thing because I'm not pushing back in disagreement. I'm more looking for understanding because
Mm-hmm.
I've never had my own business. I've always successfully worked for someone else. So
Mm-hmm.
my mindset is different, and I'm looking to kind of change that because maybe the way I view things is a little different. So I'll use myself for an example. At one point, I worked for the largest steamship line in the world. They service every single country in the world pretty much. Their ships went everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Latin American market is a strong market, but because the company was so big, they weren't really getting as much volume or market share of that because the company is big and the focus was always on the bigger trades. So what the company decided to do is to break it into two companies and start another company that just focused specifically on the Latin American market, right? And I was responsible for Canada. Actually, I was in Canada for a few years to grow the Latin American market, and their market share grew tremendously because now they just focus specifically on that market. So the folks that worked there, they had a great understanding of the market. They understood the competitors. Instead of pretty much spreading yourself so thin, people were more focused specifically on that particular market. So what I'm finding, I think in my mindset, I'm looking at it more from like I'm not understanding it as far as, having your own business and how that would relate to it because, I understand not necessarily saying you're a black business, but if you focus on a particular market, whatever the market is. It, it doesn't have to be race, but it could be. It doesn't have to be, it could be anything, but if you're focused on it, you have a better understanding of it, then you can grow your market share in that, because you're not going to get business from everywhere, everyone, no matter, even if you spread yourself all over the place. There's money out there, there's business out there for everyone. So my mindset is that if you're focused, you'll have a better understanding and you're more known within that realm, because your focus is specific to that. Like even black hair care products, it's specifically marketed to black people. They're doing pretty well, so I just want to, gain the understanding, and maybe I need to shift the way I think. I'm not sure. And since you
Okay,
guys have
let's
successfully owned your own business, I'm,
right.
keen to hear, how you guys see things.
I would even say if you're talking about black hair care products, right? Could you argumentatively just keep it in America when you got blacks in Canada, you got blacks in Europe, you
Right.
got
No.
a and so that's the international. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying? So your product may be a small product, but you still can reach a global audience. See, a lot of people don't know that one thing about Toronto, Canada. You're aware that during the Great Migration, a lot of blacks that was living in the upper New York area migrated to Canada. So there's a lot of black migration that left America and went to Canada in order to be free, and lived in Canada, learned French, and now they're Canadians as opposed to Americans. You have a large black population in Great Britain. You have a large population in France. And then you have an entire continent. You got Aborigines in Australia. So when I begin to speak from that standpoint, as it being international or global, however you want to interchange the word, if you are able to take your one product and market it to the world, then you're dealing with a world economic system. Similar to, let's just take what is the one spice that we always talk about from Jamaica? Curry. Look how international the seasoning of curry is. Yet we know it originated in India, but now look how curry has went global. You almost got every food got some type of curry in it, whether you're doing with Thai curry, Jamaican curry, Chinese curry. So you see how that seasoning went? If you look at music, and you start with, let's say, hip hop started in the Bronx in New York, but now it has become an international music phenomenon that produced a international cultural phenomenon. You go to certain other countries, you couldn't tell the difference between looking at a Japanese 20-something versus a black 20-something. You barely can tell the difference between a white 20-something and a black 20-something because of the influence of hip hop. Again, hip hop is a niche music, yes, but they cater to the larger market. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Did I explain it well or enough?
But
You explained it well.
Okay.
and I
Okay.
just add to that. So when you think about niche markets, one of the things that I normally state when it comes to niche markets is you got to look at the layers of the market. What do I mean by that? So let's just go back to the example of the Jamaican restaurant. Okay, their specialty is serving Jamaican food, but they didn't go in just only serving one particular type of dish. So they went in with Jamaican food being the specialty, the niche, but they knew they had to have a variety on the menu because they want to capture as many people from all different walks of life. Because some people may want let's just say some people may only want a rice and bean type of meal. Some people may want a rice bean with some chicken in it. So when you think about niche, you just got to look at the different layers because if you go back to your example of the steamboat industry, they broke off to two different entities because they realized that their niche required them to do something different. And that meant that they had to service the bigger companies, but they also built a smaller company because they knew from the bottom line perspective, they can still make some money on the smaller aspect, but they can sustain it through the larger aspect because they had more revenue coming on that particular product line. So when you think about niche, I think it can work, but you got to be mindful of the entire scope. So going back to like Uncle Stu talked about, when you think about Carrie, you know, one of the things was they didn't go in. So what when he mentioned about when Black people come in and say something Black owned, we normally, not all the time, but sometimes we don't really think about how can we expand it when it comes to 5-10 years down the road, and not only just looking at our population. So you even think about, so let's even think about the Black hair product line. Yeah, it may be Black hair products, but I guarantee somewhere in there is probably, they have products in there that service somebody else outside of Black people.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you though, like, all
Mhm.
right, comparing, say, during segregation to now, right? Were there more Black business owners during segregation versus now?
Yes, but you got to think about, then it was limited resources. So everything during that time was more of a specialty, but you got to think about too, you was more into the mom pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, you know, families, you know, actually had a business and they serviced basically their demographics that was right there in front of them. Even when you think about relationships, people didn't date globally. It was basically they dated people and they married people within their demographics, their geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
So now, because time has changed, so now you got to factor that in, just like how they had the limitations of the times. But now when you come into the future, we don't have that limitation. So when you think about how you go in the market and you gonna go in the niche, your niche just can't be limited. Your niche has to also be niche, meaning a specialty, but you have a basis. Your niche is your basis, which I say the foundation of the business. But also, if you think about every company that got big and got global, they had something else that they came out with to service a different type of market, a different type of demographic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hold on one sec. Sir Hale, I'm going to drop the link, sir. And I would like you to come up on the panel. If you didn't see the video, I will just ask you some questions because I know you have a strong business background. So I'm going to drop the link. This is just for you. So come on up. Bigtimedrum. I just want you to know you're getting a shout out. I want everybody to give a big salute to Bigtimedrum. He was the #1 runner in Blind Guy, His Wife, Their Life. You know, he came to see it and make sure I shout on him out. But here's the problem. I could have did it the first 2 minutes of this video and he wasn't even here. So, you know, he doing that color people time. That's the problem. But I dropped the link if you want to come up to talk about the video. Kareem, I want to ask you a question, or rather, the reason I'm gonna say Kareem
Uncle Stu,
and
before
Genesis is because
Uncle Stu, before
you
you go
two
on,
come from Jamaica. You two left Jamaica for whatever the reason. What was taught to you growing up about money and economics and business? Because I for me, my experience with both Jamaicans, Trinidadians, West Indians, Haitians, y'all coming to America and y'all immediately start hustling, whether it's jobs or business. I've really never known y'all just to run in and say, okay, give me a welfare check, give me this, give me that. Y'all come in running hard. And so maybe if I can slant the conversation, what does people outside of America see when they come into America?
Mhm.
Do you want to go first, Karen?
Sure. Okay. For me,
Oh,
first,
sorry.
it's
Sorry to
Kareen.
interrupt. Sorry,
Go
Kareem.
ahead.
Sorry. You know what? I don't have my glasses on. I'm just as bad as the lead attorney. My eyes are like really bad. But sorry. Just before you jump in, the intentional millionaire, I have to correct you. As a Jamaican, it's rice and peas. It's not
I'm
rice
sorry,
and
rice and
peas.
peas.
Yeah, Americans,
I was
the
just using an example.
disrespect,
I'm sorry.
man.
I'm so
Rice and
sorry.
Oh,
beans.
man.
Because I know collectively Jamaicans all across the board who are going to see this, they're going to be like, why didn't the girl just say something? All right, some peas
Yeah,
enough. What
you're
am I
right.
going
You're
with?
Well,
right.
I
Anyway,
appreciate that.
go ahead, Karen. So, Kareen, sorry.
Yeah, Kareen.
But before we go, Kareem, did that answer your question? Because I was trying to cut Uncle Stu, jump in there on Uncle Stu, but I want to
Saw
make
that.
sure I answer your question.
Yeah, you guys did. And for me, it's more so now I need to just have that mindset, put that mindset in practice because I've always viewed it a little different. I've been more I've always viewed things more socially than economically.
Hmm.
And so I kind of need to change that mindset if I ever want to have my own business as well. So yeah, you guys answered it, and it's just more so putting it into practice for myself.
And I could give you a real quick example. Just think about the iPhone. The iPhone, when Steve Jobs started it, he always said that he was gonna never go to a fully touch phone. But Apple had to because of the demographics.
Okay.
So he had to change, even though you still got the iPhone, but he had in the iPhone was the niche was their niche was the iPhone. However, they still had to make some changes to continue to move with the demographics in the way the information was going. So they had to go to only touch.
Okay, makes sense. You have to change
Hmm.
with the times.
Hmm.
Um, I have to preface this though, when Uncle Stu, when you speak about like the Jamaicans coming in, I came here when I was 12, so I got a little, you know, I'm a little bit of both as far as the thought process. But what I can say is like if someone comes when they're older, like saying their 20s and stuff, they had the time, they're looking at the opportunities in Jamaica, right? And it's like there's not a lot of jobs, right? A
Hmm.
lot of people will go to college, but there are no jobs. So it's like when you're there, your mindset is once you get to America, you're just gonna hustle. You're gonna do what you gotta do because there's so many opportunities there. So when you come as an adult, a lot of times you're already coming mentally prepared to 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 take advantage of the opportunities here. For myself, growing up, like my great grandma, she had a farm, and I would visit her, and she had coffee, pimento, all kinds of things, and we would pick them and sell them and things like that. And that's pretty much how she survived. Like she never worked for anybody or anything like that. So the mindset there is if you can't get a job, you start your own business. You have a hustle, whatever that is. It could be selling peanuts on the street, it could be selling oranges, whatever it is. You just start a hustle and you do what you have to do. But I think definitely when the immigrants that come here, they see it as an opportunity, so they're going to take advantage of it. And also, speaking as far as the welfare system, I know my culture, we're very proud people. We don't want handouts typically. So that's from what I know. As far as Jamaicans, we wouldn't come here and want a handout because we're very proud people. We don't want nobody throwing anything in our face to say you got this or you got that or whatever. So that's how I view it when it comes to the welfare system. Like if I was to like have ever gotten in welfare, my family would be like, I would be disowned. It would be like shame. You know what I mean? That's just the mind process of the people there. So that's
Can,
my
can
take.
can I ask a question before I go to you, Miss Genesis? You said that older Jamaicans come here and they see opportunities,
Mhm.
but there's a large narrative that says there's no opportunities in America. There's a narrative that says we're being held back in America. There's a narrative that says we're being oppressed in America and Disparia in America. We just can't do it. So I'm confused as to what do you see as opportunities in America that we're not seeing in America?
Well, I think when you're faced with like when you have less than, right, you're going to
Mhm.
view any something else that's more, you're going to view that as an opportunity, right? So anything more than what you have is an opportunity. And let's be real, there's a lot of opportunities in America. The mindset is different. Also, in Jamaica, we are not the minority. We are the majority, right? So
Mhm.
when we walk around, our leaders look like us. So we don't
Mhm.
come here with that oppressed mindset. It's a mindset. Not to say that there isn't oppression and all of that, but we move past that. We move around that because I know I'm not no minority. I know I'm not less than. If anything, I am the superior in our view. That's how we view ourselves, as Black
Right.
people. So we don't have that mindset, and so we don't view it necessarily as oppression. Not to say it isn't, but we don't let it stop us. We just, you just do what you got to do.
Got you. Big time drum. If you got a moment, because if I isn't Big Time Drum also from Jamaica?
No, his people Barbasian.
Barbasian. Big Time Drum, I would love for you to come on the
All right.
panel.
Barbadian or Barbados?
Love for it.
Sorry about
Oh, we
that.
got a
I
heated
can't
panel
I
now.
can't hear.
I got Intentional Millionaire. I have Sir Hale Speaks. That's the gentleman I told you about. He got the best outfit on in America. He got that New York Yankees. I'm a New York Yankee fan, so shout out. And Pastor Troy. Most people that follows they Pastor Troy's on big guy, blind guy, his wife, their life. I met Pastor Troy on their channel. So that's where I met him. But Miss Genesis, let me bring it to you. And when you finish, I'm going to probably ask you the same question that I asked Kareem, because now I want to talk to that international market.
Right.
I don't know
Um,
what happened to the two people. Hopefully they'll come back.
yeah. We also have to remember that Jamaica is not a rich country. It's a quote unquote third world country, right? And there is a lot of poverty there. But the one thing that we do have is the mindset of a hustler. And please don't get offended with anybody when
No,
I
I'm
say
from New York. I know hustle
right,
is a positive term in New York. It's a negative term in the South. So I get the understanding of it.
right. But these YouTube streets,
Yeah.
the Jamaican
Yeah.
slangs are running rampant. But and we also think of anything abroad is an opportunity. If you can get onto soil that's abroad, you've already made it. We've already made it. Once you get your visa to travel abroad, in our mind, we've already made it. There's no, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Nobody's holding me back. Because even from the littlest Jamaicans, we're hustling, whether you're selling candy, whether you're doing something. And it's always in the mindset of there's a better opportunity. There's a better opportunity. We are going to be successful. We're going to raise our family up. We are going to have a legacy. And whether it's England, Canada, the States, Germany, wherever you go, once you land, we hit the ground running. Whether you have to start cleaning houses, whether you have to start delivering newspapers, it's always that hustler mindset. There is no oppression. And like Kareem said, we grew up in a society where everybody looked like us. Jamaica is like 99.9% Black people. So we don't have an inferiority complex to say, well, we can't do this and we can't do that. Everybody looks like us. Anybody and everybody that has a business looks like us. Politicians, whatever. So we don't come with that we can't do attitude. And there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities, but what sometimes we fail to capitalize on it, we don't. And when I say we, I mean like the Americans and other
Right, 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 right.
right? Because how are you in a country where somebody else who looks like you comes, and then 5 years later, they're close to being a multimillionaire, or they own multiple businesses, or they're, into politics or something. How does that happen? And we weren't born there. We weren't born there.
Let me ask you a question then, because you said, and both you and Kareem said the same thing, the mindset. So how then would you teach that mindset to somebody that doesn't have it? Meaning someone who may have not had the opportunity to see people that look like them, that are successful, that are, whether they're in politics or business or education. You have some people that's never seen, or they say they've never seen Black success before. Some of us has seen it, some of us has not. So how then would you navigate that argument, or how would you begin to teach that?
Then I would start with asking questions. So nobody in this individual's family, nobody has ever gotten a job. No one has ever gone to college. No one has ever sold Avon. No one has ever cleaned houses. No one has ever done anything business minded. So, I mean, when I hear that argument, I find that hard to believe. Because there had to have been somebody in this individual's family that did something. They just didn't just all lay down and then die one day. For me, that can't be a reality. And if I'm being facetious, then I apologize. But
no, one thing I want you to understand on this platform is I'm looking for just answers. And I want you to have the same freedom of speech that I fought for in the military. And if I'm asking the question and you're giving me your hard answer, even if it's a pill I can't swallow, then give me 24 hours to at least swallow that pill. But my whole argument is, or what I'm trying to understand is, okay, if someone says to me in an argument, we can't move forward because of all of these different things to my left, and I'm looking at, and I define it as the outlier. The philosophy is the outlier. Okay, if this group of people is not making it, but this minority group is making it, let me study the minority or the outlier. What did they do different that this group didn't do? You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to look at, let's say, white French people or white Germans or white Jews. I don't want to look at them because there could be a clear argument that, hey, they're white, so of course they made it. But then when I turn around and I go, well, wait a minute, how the heck is this Nigerian making it? How the heck is this Jamaican making it? How is this Barbados making it? How is these, I know what's going on in Haiti, but I'm sorry, you still got a lot of successful Haitians in Florida making it. Wait a minute, why are these people making it? And they look like me, but my people ain't making it. At least that's the narrative. So I'm confused. So I have to go and say, okay, what are y'all doing that we ain't doing? What do you see that we don't see? So that maybe we can get on board with what you're doing so that we can be successful in America, if that makes sense.
Can I answer that?
Yes,
Sure, Bigtimedrum.
Okay. First of all, let me dispel something. I am not Barbadian.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you was Barbadian.
I told y'all Barbados.
Get
Barbados.
Wally.
Okay, so that's number one. My background roots is Trinidadian.
Oh, Trinity to the bone. Okay, my
Yes,
bad.
Trinity to the bone. Anyway.
Hey.
All right.
Hey,
So
let me explain to everybody in the chat. See, I'm from New York. You don't call a Puerto Rican a Dominican.
Oh no,
You
the
don't
knife
call a
comes out.
Cuban a
You
Mexican.
get cut.
And you don't
Absolutely.
call a Trinidadian a Jamaican. Boy, that's a fight ready to happen.
Nope, not having it. But anyways, so let me answer this. Let me answer this question. Okay.
Sure.
And a lot of it, believe it or not, dates back to history. All right. A lot of the folks from the West Indies, Africa, and and so forth and so forth, that come into these countries, right? 90% of them, I can pretty much guarantee you, they came in there with skills already ready to go. In other words, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're this, that they have the skills ready to go, right? So give example, like here in England where I live, okay? England has a history of a lot of these Jamaicans who migrated into this country many years ago, and there's a story of a boat called the Windrush. Y'all can look that up. But the whole idea was that they brought all of these people, and these were people that had skills already ready to go, right? But the key was for them to come in to the country with the skills in exchange to be citizens. You see what I mean? Because when you have skills, that means you can be an asset, right? So there's no reason for you to be thinking, well, let me try to go get welfare. Why would I want to go get welfare if I have a skill that surpasses welfare as far as my salary? That doesn't make sense, you know. So the only people that's going to do that is one, either you're a scammer, or two, you're trying to basically outsmart the system. But I can pretty much guarantee you, the majority of the people that do come in is because they come in with skills ready to go, and because they have the skills, they already know. Okay, well, if I go to this and I show my skills and I do this interview saying, "Hey, I've done this and this and this and this and this," you can't deny me. So of course I'm going to get the job because I'm ready to go. You dig?
I would like to respond to that. First of all,
Sure.
Uncle Stu, how are you, sir? Good
Doing
to see
well.
you.
Thank you. Welcome. Pastor
Yeah,
Troy, welcome.
to the panel, all of W.T.P, the International Millionaire, Genesis, Kareem, big time drummer, Pastor Troy. Good to see all
What's
of you
going
out there.
on?
Oh,
Now, listen,
and just to let everybody know, let me do a quick commercial break. I'm hoping that I can get this entire panel back next week. In around the 1 to 2 mark, I'll try to let everybody know what we're going to address. I'm going to make sure everybody, if you got a pen, I need y'all to go to ADOS101.com. It's called ADOS101.com. And what it is a website that deals more in depth with this term called reparations. So I want everybody to at least read it, kind of get a good analytical look of what it is, what it's all about. And then we're going to bring that conversation next week. And we're going to talk about whether, what's the good, the bad, etc. of it, compared to this conversation we're having today. Because one of the arguments is that ADOS and its organization is supposed to be dealing with reparations, and reparations is supposed to solve a whole lot of economic, social issues in America. And I don't know if everybody's familiar with it or familiar with that website or even familiar with that term. So I want everybody to kind of take a look at it, analyze it, and then give me your pro and con of the organization in and of itself.
Okay.
Excellent.
Is everybody at least willing to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I have the organization.
Yes.
I've been reading it, and so that we can look at it, and let's look at the pro and con of it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna drop that. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat.
Yeah, please put, because I know I gave it to you yesterday, Sir Hale. Pastor Troy, he's going to put the link in the chat. I want everybody just to have an open, honest look at it. It's not that long. I think the way I viewed the website, it was like maybe 4 pages. 4 pages long. Simple, simple read. It ain't no in-depth intellectual read. It's simple read. And it's going to talk about reparations, talk about the organization, reparations. It deals with various areas that it wants to confront and attack, gives the argument over it. And then that way we can have an open discussion next week. Sir Hale, I think we're going to go ahead and do that prelude on the red pill, the red pill 2.0. We're going to get it started that way. That way, when we come in 2022, no offense, Kareem, no offense, Genesis, but we men is going to have to put this platform and do it right so we can get these people up and running and get them skilled, just as they said, get some skills in them, get some money in their pocket. Pastor Troy, I'm a man of God too, and we can get them in a spiritual mindset. So we're going to study to show ourselves approved and take this blame stuff and take it to a whole nother level. How does that sound?
All right.
Mr.
Sounds great.
Patrice, are you still in the chat? If you're in the chat, give me a 1 if you're still in the chat. I'm just trying to see if Patrice is still in the chat.
Yeah, she should be.
All right. I don't see her. Okay.
Yeah, she just put a 1.
Ms. Patrice, next Saturday, I will give you 15 minutes to come up here and explain ADOS from your perspective. And everybody on this panel is going to be able to hear you for 15 minutes, and they have been given a link. And they're going to discuss their understanding, their ideas of this ADOS thing. So after that, then whatever is being said is going to be said. And then I hope that we can close that chapter based on what everybody say. Is that fair to you? Give me another 1 in the chat if that sounds fair to you. I was waiting on a response. Might be a delay, but Ms. Patrice, she advocates for this organization, and I kind of advocate against it, but I'm going to do a fair assessment so that everyone understands that I'm going to play fair across the board. This is something that she advocates from. So this is the website that she says everybody's supposed to read to get an in-depth understanding that we need reparations. So, yes, Miss Genesis.
Yeah, I just want to add that I'm going to be away because I'm having dental surgery. So I'm going to be away from the 1st of December until January 15th. So I unfortunately I won't be on the panel for that.
That's fine. Hopefully when you come back, just take a look at it anyway.
Absolutely.
Definitely take a look at it because I'm about to split the platform. So I still want you a part of my split of the platform.
Okay, definitely.
Because your voice is very well needed. Kareem's voice is very well needed. Definitely the men that I have on here is an absolute must because one man can't know it all. And so that's going to be very pivotal.
And I'm pro man, so it's all good. I'm pro man.
Appreciate you. You know, appreciate you. It's Kareem we got to watch out for because Kareem brings crews of people. So she keeps us men in line because she come with a posse.
Listen, I'm looking to be kept in line. Stop it, Uncle Stu. Keep me in line.
Those are lies. Those are lies, woman. Those are lies.
Go ahead, Scratch Wally.
Patrice, no ma'am. All we're going to do is nobody up here is an expert. I'm giving 8 different people a time to read the petition and what they're saying on their paper. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm only doing this at your request. I'm not going to turn my panel into an Adolph's panel. I respect your views very much. I respect your thoughts very, very much. But that's not where I'm trying to direct my panel or this platform. I got bigger issues, especially when it comes to African-American men or just men in general. And a lot of men behind the scenes has reached out for certain issues that I went and found men that can address those issues. They need solutions today. They want them today. And I'm not going to really sit around and have an all-day panel discussion about those situations. When I used the terminology debate, the word shouldn't have been used. So I will be the first to say that I shouldn't have used the word debate because it's not going to be a debate. I'm just going to have everyone have a decent intellectual discussion. And that way, wherever is good, we're going to accept the good and we're going to support what's good. Wherever cannot be good, where it's just going to get tossed out. I have to recognize that I am dealing in an international market. I'm just not dealing with 13% of the population. I'm trying to make connections to anybody that's in Africa, any country in Africa, Europe. I'm trying to be international. So the more I can deal with building international wealth, international knowledge, it's going to help me on the national stage. So I apologize. I did use the word debate, but I had to change it to just allowing people to read the very website you're talking about. I'm not going to advertise for another person's organization when I'm not part of that organization. I think it would be disingenuous for me as a leader to try to represent an organization I'm not even a part of. Okay. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I just wanted to do that commercial break, but I also wanted to open it up from an intellectual standpoint because I want everybody to have their own independent thinking and not a dictatorial mind thinking. And if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. I think, Sir Hale, you was the last to speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Again, so glad to see everybody on tonight. So listen, I will say this: I am probably the least educated, so I am probably in learning mode from everybody. But I wanted to say something in watching some of the video that you did right before this live about a couple things. One is that one of the reasons why Black people collectively that we are not moving as rapidly as we can, as talented as we are, is because of that very thing. We work in our talents. Most of the people that I grew up with wanted to be singers and dancers and wanted to do something in the talent sphere, and cultivating skills are something different. Like a lot of us, we saw people who were successful or who were great. You know, we saw the award shows, and a lot of us aspired to be that because it's all we saw. We didn't see people who were highly skilled in the realms of technology or law or doctors. Actually, it became a talking point. Well, you can go be a doctor, you can go be a lawyer, but the practice being put into place, the books being into place, the examples, it's not something that we have. So one of the things I can say is, like, I was taken out of school in the 3rd grade. I share this to people because people make assumptions when you speak. When you talk, people have assumptions as to who you are, what your experience is. But I was taken out of school in the 3rd grade. I didn't go to middle school, didn't go to high school, I didn't graduate anything. I got my GED at 19 years old. was homeless for a lot of my late teens and early 20s. And I remember a point in my life where I'm like, is this my life? And it made me think that everybody has a choice, even though you might not have options at that point. And I think what we do is a culture is we are advocating. We need options. We need outlets. But it doesn't matter how many options that or outlets you have. If you don't make the choice that this is not what my life is going to be, it doesn't matter what people give you. It doesn't matter welfare. If you give a person an option who doesn't have a mindset that I don't want to be poor, not only do, and I don't just mean poor from what I look like, because there's a lot of poor people who don't look like it. Got Gucci on and they got, nice shoes on and nice cars, but are poor in the way that they think. I think that the problem that we have is we don't make the choice that I want to be better than this. And I'm not talking about let me buy a new car so that I can go show it off, or buy a new home so that I can post it on Facebook and I can let my family know. But I'm talking about wealth from the perspective that what I do in my lifetime is going to affect the generations after me, that mindset. And so it's a mindset that I had to adopt with me and my wife, with our 4 kids, married at 19 years old, is you have to make the choice that I want to be better. And we went from poverty, not having much, to owning multiple businesses. And I talked to you yesterday about this, and I share with people that we don't brag. When you're about true progress, you're not bragging on what you have. What you're doing is you're letting people know that it can be done. And so we went from being in poverty on food stamps, right? We used to get $800-900 to be eating good, baby, be eating real good, $900. But that couldn't be the end of life. So we ended up getting off of that, and we moved from earning $20,000 a year to now we're part of that 3% of earners in the Black community and top 10% in America. But and again, I don't have all the college education. I don't have all that. I just realized that no one owes me anything. No one owes me anything. If we get reparations, fantastic. Give me a few million of them. But if I never get reparations, I'm not waiting on any organization, any government to give me a handout. I've got to take life by the horns and go make the kind of life that I want to have, because nobody owes me anything. And I think this is the mindset that a lot of us have to adopt. And we have to exercise that choice and then do what it takes to kind of have the life that we want to have.
Let me ask you a question before I go to Pastor Troy.
Yes, sir.
And I see, is that the Mrs. Hale?
It is. Talk Hale, that is.
Hello, Mrs. Hale. Welcome, welcome. I love that support. Salute to you, ma'am. My question would be, how do we change the mindset? How do we, if you want to call it, shove that pill down someone's throat and say, you have to make a decision. Either you're going to live or you're going to die. You're going to have to make the decision. Either you're going to succeed or you're going to fail. I have some people who might say, listen, I don't have it as good as you. Listen, I didn't grow up in a place like you. I didn't have the resources you had. How do we set that up where we say, okay, now you got the resources, what you gonna do?
Yeah, yes, sir. So I will say this: I pastor a church called One Generation Church. I became a minister at 14 years old. I've been in church since. Look, when my mother birthed me, I hit my head on a pulpit. I've been in church so much, so I've been in church all of my life. Here's something that I think we need to talk about: is it's going to start at church. It's going to start from a spiritual place. The church in today's world, we preach. I'm going to say this in a way, and I hope you guys hear me what I'm saying.
Just speak it straight.
The church is, to the greater extent, is still preaching from a slavery mindset. When you think about it, you're about to be blessed. It's on the way. Just trust and believe. There's hope. Just wait for it. Just live in expectation. And while that message is fantastic, because we understand that the way that we live, we do have expectation. We do expect God to do great things in our lives. But it takes away the accountability of making decisions daily to make good on the talents that God gave us. So I think that we have to start where the people's attention is. And a lot of us come from a very spiritual, religious background. And so the message has to be, it has to start there. We have to have our pastors who, all right, I'm about to mess up now, Uncle Stu. So
Good.
I don't take a salary from my church at all. I work I do multiple things, because in this day and age, we have to have individuals who understand that pastors are not preaching for the money. That the entire goal of what we do is, first of all, is about kingdom, but is the kingdom is in heaven, so it is on earth. It is us taking God's word and manifesting those principles in the earth realm, and that only happens through work. And I think it has to start there. Well, we have to start promoting that if you're going to be a part of this church, or if you're going to come here, we're going to promote not only you coming here reading the Bible, and which is the foundation, but you're going to have to read some other books as well. If you want to know about money, you got to take some classes about money as well. You have to understand that the impact of having a family structure and the economic impact that has on the generations to come. We have to start pushing this from a church perspective, because I'm concerned that we've taught people to give to the church and people haven't even planned for their life. So it has to start there. We have to start from a spiritual perspective.
Okay, I like that. Would you argue then that one of the foundations or one of the conversations that really needs to be had, I'm gonna give you 3 arguments, and then I guess Pastor Troy, you'll be able to pick that up as well. Argument number 1, we have a serious migration of men who has left the church in the 90s. Therefore, I would say, as an older person, it is my job, or one of my duties, to right the wrongs of just me being a man and not teaching the men properly behind me. But at the same time, that is an argument that is coming out of that sector of the manosphere, that the Black church basically abandoned them and catered more to the women, and you know, they not only catered to the women, they turned a woman into the Jezebel, meaning, you know, she became the power and they just became the head. So they became Ahab and they became Jezebel. So the men just took off. So even if you mention church to some men, it's like, man, we ain't even coming. I think if I had you and Pastor Troy, I'm quite sure y'all know who Bolo TV is. You know, up on a panel, I might not have but 3 people in the chat by the time y'all get up here. But on the serious side, do you think that it's time for us in ministry to take accountability and really, if you want to even say, we apologize. We wasn't listening. We apologize. We wasn't paying attention. And now we're going to pay attention to y'all. And this is how we're going to right the wrong.
Uncle Stu,
is that a decent argument?
Uncle Stu, this is why I love you. Like, the stuff you saying is what the generation is crying out for. And I mean that when I say that, we're crying out for that. And of course, Pastor Troy, I'm just gonna say this 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna be quiet, because you got something. I feel it. I feel it in my shondo. I think that what you said is right. Men left, but we didn't leave the communities. When men come to church, we're not coming to, hey, fellas, get up there, run around the church 3 times because the blessings is on the way. That's not the way that men. That's not what we're going to church for. We're going for information. And when we get that information, we are excited about it, then we're going to celebrate. What we've done is we've turned church into this emotional experience where we give you enough information to have a reaction and not enough insight to have a revelation in your life. And so the men have left the church, not because they don't want to be there, but we understand that what we listen to directly affects how we think and how we move. And so, men, it's not that we want to leave the church, is that we're trying to find a place where we can get the information we need, because we're trying to get our families out the hood. We're trying to build stuff. We're trying to be educated. We're trying to be good examples. And when we see a lot of ministers, and I can say this, I've been preaching since I was 14 years old, we see pastors who say all the right stuff to get a reaction, but the integrity is not there, right? The example is not there. And you see that there's a level of pandering because, of course, you don't want to affect your offering, right? Men are going to leave that. And then we're going to have a problem when our women are still going there 3 nights a week, hearing information that we don't want to pull our women out because we don't want to be controlling, but we understand the stealthy, diabolical change that happens in a woman's mind when she hears it in enough way. And then compile that with the respect. Like you get respect in the church, and then that's not translated back at home. So it's hard for the man to have direction because there's an imbalance there. So men have left because of those things. And so it is going to start with like Uncle Stu, and even guys I'm 34, and us saying, okay, there's a better way, and let's do it a better way. Let's be the example and not just preach about it, but let's live this out in the way that we demonstrate this in our lives, and then let's sustain this and let's keep it growing. So it ain't going to just be on you, Uncle Stu, and your generation. It's going to be on ours too to keep the flame burning.
Right. Pastor Troy, I feel you. I feel it in the spirit. Let me respond to one person in the chat. OG Patrice, I'm going to get right to you. Ingram experience, maybe you missed one part, but this is going to be a topic of discussion that we're definitely going to raise because we are going to deal with that area. It is a very serious area. God has blessed me to be now becoming surrounded by men of God who are serious about the work of God, and they're not trying to build a mega church. They ain't trying to be a new TD Jakes. They definitely ain't got no planes, so they ain't Creflo Dollar neither. But they willing to do the work. They willing to put in the work, and we're willing to have the tough ministry church conversation that really needs to be had. So just be advised that you're getting ready to see a new ministry on the block, and God has blessed me with some powerful men of God. Go ahead, Pastor Troy.
Yeah, I totally believe what Brother Hale was talking about, for as the things that goes on in the church. Now, sadly, if you think about the gospel industry, the gospel music industry, what they did, these execs, they typically marketed towards women, in the church, because they figured that there was a profitability there. And a lot of that, what happened was that spilled over into a lot of the Black churches, with the profitability of women. And over the years, of course, don't want to mention names, but the Woman Out Loose, TD Jakes stuff and all types of stuff over the years have made the church about just women. And of course, that's why a lot of men have been turned away. I remember in my younger years, I was turned away about it. I wound up going to a more a church that teached about the body, the soul, and the spirit, which is the fullness, the wholeness of man, fullness and wholeness of mankind. And I think that when we get off of track, when we just look at the spiritual side, and we lose the side of the soul, which is the emotions, the mind, and all that, and then with the body, for us, our physical being, our wellness, taking care of ourselves, our health, in a physical way. I think those focuses are very important. So I'm pretty much on the same camp that Hale is on. Now, it was some things that I wanted to you said earlier, Brother Stu, and thank you for having me on your show too.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. I'm very honored that you're here, sir.
And greetings to everyone on the panel. Yeah. So um, I remember you were saying earlier about hip hop and how hip hop has become a worldwide phenomenon. And uh, the sad thing about it is, well, there's some other sad things about that, but the sad thing about it is that who controls the commercial side of it? If you think about it,
Yep.
who actually controls the commercial side of it?
Right.
It's a minority, a very small minority of blacks that would have like a little stake, they have just a little control in it, but the majority, of course, is everybody that's not from from the black community. And when the sister had mentioned about the hair products and all that, all these things, and that's why I agree with what Hale was talking about when he said about how we seen these different images on TV, the singers, the this and the that, but and then every now and then someone would throw in, but you can be a doctor, but you can be a lawyer, but before as the tools, us knowing about the different tools, how to use those different tools for us, the books and what it takes to be a doctor, what it takes to be a lawyer, and different things like that, has always been something that has been thrown to the side. So I think I know I'm kind of rambling, but it's a lot of stuff that has been said in the beginning, and I really wanted to touch on it. I think the whole thing about this whole piece is not only just being the entertainers, but actually having some type of ownership of our culture, ownership of the products that we have, ownership of that. And I see that that's the big problem now, where pretty much we're not owning nothing.
Was
We
you
just
here
doing the
earlier when
entertaining part.
Yeah,
Excuse me,
was you
Pastor
here
Troy.
earlier when Genesis made a nice critical point when she said that one of our biggest issues is that we're not getting our products and our intellectual properties patented, and that we're now in a position to have our intellectual, properties, patented. We have the ability to now do what, let's say, we couldn't do before, and then when we don't do these things and then it's taken, and I don't even want to say taken, because anybody in business is going to tell you that if you come up with an idea and you don't do the right things before that idea, someone's going to come in and they're going to do the right thing. And guess what? Your product is gone. You know what I'm saying? And it's what they say, it ain't personal, it's business. You know what I'm saying? No matter how we look at it, it's not personal, it's business. If Bigtimedrum make a musical piece and he don't get that musical piece copyrighted, and I go and take that musical piece, copyright it, put it on a major film and make all this money, guess what? He can't do nothing, because they're going to say, moment he go to the court, he's going to say, well, is it copyright material? If he ain't got no way to prove that it was his material or that he even copyrighted the material, in theory, he just basically gave it away.
Guess what? I got
Yes,
one
sir.
better for you. I got
Go
one
ahead.
better for you. All right. So just to piggyback off of Pastor Troy. By the way, Pastor Troy, I believe what you're talking about is what we call in the music industry, and OG can attest to what I'm about to tell you. We call them the gatekeepers, right? And with the gatekeepers, these are the people who have the power and the money and the influence, right? And unfortunately, it's not so much about you owning this and you owning that. I mean, if you want to own whatever it is you want to own, that's fine. But the real question becomes, if you're trying to get on the larger scale, the gatekeepers, that's the people that you have to convince that you're worth, being in their company. But even with being in their company, the gatekeepers, they have a price that says, are you willing to sacrifice this much? Because we're going to want this much. And then some, so that you can be over the top, or whatever that high pedestal is that you're trying to reach. Is this is what it's going to take. Okay. So, and it's just unfortunate that because of these gatekeepers, they hold that power. So what are you going to do? I mean, yeah, you can, do it on your own, and be like the Tyler Perrys. But here's the thing, is that's going to take a lot of time, patience, and effort. And if you cannot, and if you don't have the will and the mindset to just push through, no matter how many decades you're going to have to go through before you become your own entity or your own gatekeeper, then guess what? You're never going to see that day of passing that higher ground unless you go to the gatekeepers. And that's exactly what's going on. And the
Let me
same
ask
thing
you a
works.
question. You say who are these gatekeepers? See, the reason I'm asking that directly is because if you were to say who the gatekeepers was back in the early 80s, 90s,
right,
I can follow your logic, because I can almost say who the gatekeepers are.
Okay,
right?
so
Who are
let
the
me be
gatekeepers when each one of us got a computer and each one of us can reach international acclaim?
okay.
Who are the
So
gatekeepers?
let me be specific, right? So let's say in the example that you're talking about with I wanted to okay, I'll use Pastor Troy. Perfect example. Let's say Pastor Troy has his own church, right? And everybody's loving his message. But according to Pastor Troy, he doesn't have the type of resources that it's going to take to get to the masses, so that it's not just a few thousand. He needs a few million, to really put his message over the top, so that in a sense he can compete with the Joel Alsteins and so forth and so forth, right? So the gatekeepers would be going to the TBNs, ABC Network, any media network where it's going to show his church, on a larger scale. Okay. So the fact that, are you going to say something, Genesis? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was just getting a call and I was trying to stop them.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were trying to say something too.
Yeah. That's why I stopped.
Big time drum. Here's why I shut that argument down. Not you as a person. I'm going after the argument. Okay.
Go for
the
it.
reason I shut that argument down is because in the 90s, he may have had to go through a TD Jakes or Joel Osteen or Creflo Dollar or any of the big time mega churches to get into their network. I would agree. 2021, all he needs to do is sit down at a laptop and preach his message, and he's preaching to the masses. Do you understand? See, when I get on this platform and I speak, I may only have 490 subscribers.
Right.
But I look at my analytics and it tells me I'm speaking to over 5,000 people.
Right.
You understand? So I'm speaking to two different audiences. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I am sensitive about the platform, because I'm not only speaking to Black people in the United States of America or in my state. I am
Right.
speaking to people in Canada. I'm speaking to people in Jamaica. I'm
Right.
speaking to people in West Africa. I'm
Right.
speaking to some people that's in South Africa. I'm even speaking to a dude that's all the way in China. So
Right.
I'm not just talking to Black Americans. You
Yeah,
understand
but
what I'm saying?
but
Now,
let me
now,
just
and then on
debunk
the
that argument.
platform, they see you. So when they
Right.
see you and they see intellectual discourse, is, hey, this dude is getting ready to do this. This dude is getting ready to put this on a platform. This dude is getting ready to do this. These people, and if I get more specific, these Black men is having deep conversations, dealing with problems, but not just arguing the problems. Hey, they done put a solution together. I need to hang out with them. See, the money's going to flow to the solution. The money doesn't flow to the problem. See, a lot of people think that setting up a business is about making money. No, a business is about solving problems.
Absolutely.
So if Pastor Troy says, look, Uncle Stu, I got a problem. Well, what's your problem? I can't get my message out. Don't worry, Pastor Troy. Come on this panel on a certain day at a certain time. Why? Because I speak to 5,000. Let the 5,000 hear you, and then let them come over to you. So on Sunday, they can hear you. And then on Wednesday, they can hear Sir Hale. Then on this day, they can hear this person, because I'm trying to push that platform that big. That's why it's called Stu One International Network. It's about networking to the point where we get the message out to the masses. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
even
But
using your argument, it goes back to when I shout you out. You know what I'm saying? Forget why I shout you out, because we know that's a joke right there.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at your music and I'm saying, hey, you that's in China, you need to hear this musician that's here in America. Hey, listen to his music. Hey, you remember that thing I did that y'all said y'all hit the likes and the share and the click? That music came from him. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
See,
but
see why I
here's
say we gotta think sometimes beyond, and sometimes, you know, let's say you didn't think that way, but guess what? Because I think that way and I love what you do, I'm going to connect with you anyway to get you the exposure you need. See, this is not a city problem. This is not an American problem. This is a global problem. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to think internationally. We can no longer think as my city, my block, my clique.
Right. But here's why I'm using the term gatekeepers.
Okay.
And I don't think you're seeing the larger scale of what I'm talking about, right? Because I'm gonna go on your argument, right?
Okay.
Now you said that Pastor Troy can come on here and do his thing and talk to, let's say, 5,000 people.
Right.
But Uncle Stu, everybody that's on this platform, guess what? The gatekeeper is YouTube. Okay? Because if it wasn't for YouTube having the platform, then you would have to create your own IPO and then advertise that IPO to tell people, come over to Uncle Stu.
Let me say this to you.
You see what I'm saying?
I do. Let me say this to you. And this is more of Uncle Stu's optimism.
Okay.
I do not allow myself to fall before I fall, which means that I do not create a narrative in my head.
Right.
And put roadblocks in front of me and then isolate myself. I ride the wind as long as I can ride the wind.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
In other words, I can't sit here and then start having conspiracy theories about they getting ready to shut my platform down because Pastor Troy said that black men need to get this. Oh, shut it down.
Right.
If you got platforms that can sit up here and cuss and cuss men out and cuss women out and cuss their mama out, cuss all these people out, you think I'm gonna sit up here and worry about Pastor Troy preaching Jesus? And them people can do what they doing.
Right.
I want you to think about that. If you think that I'm going to be worried about YouTube, see, let me explain. This is a money game. And if this platform is making YouTube money, trust me, it ain't getting shut down. This is no slide, no negative against Kevin Samuels. When people say, oh man, they getting a petition against Kevin Samuels. And I said, who wrote the petition? And I found out who wrote the petition. I said, let me tell you something. You know what they did? They went up in that corporate office. They said, Kevin Samuels makes me $1 million a month. This YouTuber don't make me no money. Get out of here. Just like when they did the comedian. When the alphabet community said, oh no, he didn't have a right to say what he said. What did that businessman sit up there and say? This comedian made us X amount of money. You work for me, so I got to spend money on you. Money talks, BS walks.
Right, and that's
30 years ago. So what I'm saying to you, big time drum, is I get the conspiracy theory.
No, it's not a conspiracy. No. It's not a conspiracy. I'm just trying to say.
But see, the first thing you said was, well, the gatekeepers YouTube. And guess what?
Right.
Show me right now.
Yeah.
Why would YouTube stop a pastor?
Right.
But won't stop a bunch of men and women who cuss each other out every day on the. Come on now. We got to think about this. We're talking about money. In other words, we're talking about money. And when we start coming up with conspiracy theories, then guess what happens? Then everybody listen to your theory and they go, man, I ain't gonna do nothing because they're gonna shut me down. I ain't gonna do this because of this. I ain't gonna. And then all of a sudden we get these.
But I'm
weird
not talking conspiracy. No. I'm not.
So that's what I'm saying. Let's not.
But let's make something clear
into that part.
Big time, he would never get it. He's not in the industry. Please.
No. But you
beating the dead drum right there. He's not in the industry. He don't know what we see. He don't know what we know. He don't know who we know, and he's not in the industry to be able to even say that it's a conspiracy theory. Is just absolutely asinine.
I know,
it's not a conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy.
Put it this way.
But I'm saying that things that is above people's head that they don't understand, they're not gonna get anyway. You know what I mean? They're just not gonna get it. And if you're not in that industry, like as long as you and I have been and seen things happen and know people and things and know who the gatekeepers are. Without us ourselves, careers be on the line. They have no idea to even speak on it. So it's over his head and he don't get it. He don't understand what we try to say when it comes to that.
But here's what but remember what I'm talking about when I say the gatekeepers, I'm talking in very basic terms,
Gotcha.
And this can apply in all facets. Got it? Because believe it or not, and that's what I'm trying to show you, that this platform, we're on YouTube, right? To your point, Uncle Stu, if Pastor Troy wants to get up there and, do his sermon, have at it. The only thing YouTube is going to say, listen, as long as you're not going to say this, you're not going to say this, anything that's not going to be against the rules and the regulations, then have at it. Because remember, YouTube, hold on one second. Hold on. Let me finish this. Let me finish this thought. Because remember, YouTube, right? Their whole mantra is based off of the advertisers. That's how they make the money. We, are just the people who, just show our content and they put the advertising on our content. And that's how they make their money. Now, like I said, if Pastor Troy wants to get up there and have a sermon, no problem. You know, if he has, you know, 1 million subscribers, of course YouTube is going to love him. Of course YouTube's going to say, okay, let's suggest this guy. Let's push this guy because he's making us a boatload of money. You understand? But right now, with the amount of subscribers I have, you know, I'm not quite in YouTube's radar. You understand? It doesn't mean that they won't, you know, look for me or look after me. It just means that right now I haven't proven myself to YouTube to say, yeah, you can be a part of the gatekeepers.
Okay. Well,
does that make sense?
Can I just say something? Can I just say something? I want to use a prime example, since you want to use pastors and religion and all of that for these type of scenarios. It doesn't even matter if you have 1 million followers. Okay, if you are not dancing to their tune, you are not going to be on your platform. And you know who is the prime example of that? Minister Louis Farrakhan. Okay,
yeah.
It cannot be any more clearer. They don't care. If you are not dancing to their tune, you won't be on their platform. Plain and simple, period, point blank, and the explanation point.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, let me ask y'all this.
Go for it.
Have you seen the video and tell me what questions you have dealing with the video?
Which video?
Video that we did with Intentional Millionaire.
I saw bits and pieces, but I get the general consensus of it.
Excellent.
I saw it as well, and I get to vast amount of it. I agree with the vast amount of it when it comes to certain parts of capitalism. However, when I chopped it up and I broke it down like by 5 to 7 minute segments, and you said to Intentional Millionaire, when you were talking about the capitalism, and you was like, well, we don't want to bring race in it, but that's exactly what you did. You brought race in it. So at the end of the day, race has everything to do with capitalism.
No,
because you broke that part down too.
What I said was I don't want to bring races in it, but I used it as an example because I knew the market in the moment that I was speaking to. But again, I need to get beyond that understanding because of where my platform is going and where I am taking this platform. And where I'm taking this platform is an international minded platform. I refuse to stay local or national. I am taking this platform and the many different platforms that I am now connecting to on a global marketing basis because I have the vision and the plan, and that's where I'm taking things at this particular time. So when I say that, it simply means that there are certain platforms that's going to target certain areas or certain demographics. There are other platforms that's going to target other situations and other demographics. And I'm targeting a totally different demographics than what most YouTubers are targeting or willing to go.
Okay, can I speak?
Sure.
Okay, and I heard you say that many a times, and I got that, and I understand that, and I have no problem with that. The part that I don't agree with the capitalism part is thinking that capitalism is going to be the be all end all.
No,
it's not.
Capitalism is only one part, and with capitalism, then you only have a very minute area of socialism. But I also said that conversation was not complete It was just an introduction to the whole.
Okay. So,
Because
okay,
I
I'm
know,
gonna.
I know where you want to go, but
No,
I said, and I made it
no,
real
you
clear.
don't know where I want to go because you're not letting me go there.
Because you're really trying to go into your organization.
No,
And
I'm
I
not.
said,
No, I'm not.
okay, because I
I'm
said I'm
trying to
going to
go
have
into
that
the
one next
Uncle
week.
Stu. Uncle Stu, I'm trying to go into the points that I heard you say just within the last hour of this thing. I got notes, so I written down all the points. So let me please just let me just speak, please. Okay,
Let her
so
bring the smoke.
okay,
Let her bring the smoke.
okay. So as far as the capitalism part, again, another reason why I think that won't work is because we have fallen into the ideology of a larger scale part of capitalism is that we have fallen and still carry on the traditions of the holidays. That's a large scale part of capitalism. And us as a race has fallen into allowing someone else to dictate when we should spend our money, when we should celebrate, and all of that. So that's a big part of capitalism that I no longer subscribe to. Oh my God, Uncle Stu.
Hold it. If you go there, then it goes back to the original narrative of Black people not having their own independent minds and therefore not taking accountability for the things that they do. Who forces us to go and spend that money?
Uncle Stu, I was making a general reservations of a part of what capitalism is what you say that we would be more successful under capitalism. I was just making a general assumption and reservation on what capitalism has done. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about what another part of the conversation that I heard what you guys were talking when I came up, and that's the whole religion thing. I no longer subscribe to the ideology of the Black church anymore because that was totally capitalized and was based off of white teachings of our slave masters. So I no longer subscribe to that. And I was born and raised in the Baptist church. But I no longer subscribe to that ideology because religion, Black religion, and for the reasons why you said Black men have been ran out of church, you absolutely right. And it has been a more higher percentage when it comes to the concentration on women. That's because they know the Black church knows that women are the ones that are go there. Number one, to they know Black women are more expendable when it comes to finance. So they're going to give more into the Black church. They're going to give more of their time. They're going to give more of their money. And a lot of times Black women get so engulfed in the Black church that they neglect their own families, husbands, children. So I no longer subscribe to the white slave masters' religion of that, because I've been doing my own study of what my own lineage and ancestry and heritage religion is. And that's what myself, choose to prescribe to. I'm just giving you some pointers of what I heard in the conversation.
Make sure you come back to, because I'm putting together an all pastors panel, and I want you to bring that same issue up in the all pastors.
Oh no, I'm not going to, because it's certain things that I know that it'd be like beating a dead horse. So I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why that won't be beating a dead horse, because the reality is that's a conversation that has to be had. In other words, it is something that we can't run away from, and it's something that even I, who is in ministry and has seen the foolishness myself, it has to be addressed. It has to be talked about, and people need to see that conversation taking place. So what you're saying is 100% right on point, and the foolishness has to be addressed. Can't run away from it no more. So I agree with you.
Yeah, on that
Yeah,
point,
the ideology and doctrine I don't subscribe to anymore. So, and also the most troubling part that I heard was the point that you made, the comment that you made, Uncle Stu, when you were speaking to the panel about them coming over and how they seem to hustle and work so hard to get it. And then I look at my people and I understand what is the problem. I would like to say, is it not fair to say that the main reason why immigrants of any nationality want to come to America is because of the American dream that was built on the backs of my and possibly your ancestors? Every immigrant comes over here to achieve the American dream. And every person that is Black that was already here, whose ancestors built this country for free 99, allowed that to happen for me, you, and everybody else. So for that comment to be made in the sense that other Black people that was not already here and born here, bred here, died here, blood here, sweat, tears here, we are working Americas as well.
Are you
We
aware
have
that
worked,
the first
we have
slaves hit
hustled,
Jamaica?
we have
Are you
hustled.
aware that the first slaves hit Jamaica and that the first freed island was Haiti, and they still receiving pure hell for being the first freed island
Uncle Stu,
out of that whole slave island?
Uncle Stu, I addressed that the other day on Miss B's Finesse's platform.
I wasn't there.
I specifically talking about the comment that you made as to say as if Blacks have not came over here, hustled, been educated, achieved, became wealthy, and all, because the very reason why immigrants want to come here is for that very reason, to achieve the American dream.
Right.
And a lot of them are allowed to do that. But to say, but I look at my own people and I don't understand why. Every panel member up here has family members that are degenerates. And every panel member on here got family members that are successful at the end of the day. So
And
that comment in itself to me was problematic.
Let me tell you where that statement.
Oh,
Let me tell you where that statement came from. That statement came from because you can look anywhere on YouTube, anywhere in the neighborhood, and you always got somebody that says, I can't make it because the white man hold me down. I can't make it because of the system. That's where that statement comes from.
And Uncle Stu, that's a small minority of people. That's a small minority of people, but the general of our people, we know that is not true.
But the reality,
the general of our people know that is not true.
Be headstrong here.
That's a highly populated statement, always made. So when I ask that question, it is to deal with that very issue. In other words, it's to show the hypocrisy of that very statement.
But that was the hypocrisy of your statement as to even say that, because you said it like it was a generalization of Black people. And that is just absolutely not true.
Okay.
But I digress. Okay. Anyway, and then the other point that I heard someone say when you're talking about the Black-owned businesses, Black hair care product and skin care products became successful, and people like the Johnsons and the Luster families, they all became multimillionaires and even billionaires. One of the first Black millionaires was Madam C.J. Walker off of her products that she sold. Black people have a whole different texture of hair and skin than our white counterparts. White, I'm sorry, but I don't know, but in case y'all didn't get the newsletter, but white folks don't subscribe to that. Black folks made their businesses successful, not white people. Why are white people buying Black hair care products when their hair texture is not like ours? Why are they buying Black skin products when their skin is not like our skin when it comes to melanin and things? So that is absolutely false. White folks does not buy Black hair care product and skin products. Black people do.
What point are you making? Because the reason we brought that up was to show that those products can be internationally sold, not just sold in America. So what
Right,
point are you
internationally
trying to
sold.
make?
But it was said on the panel that white people subscribe to it, and that's not true.
No. You missed the whole point. The question was
No, I
about
didn't. I know what I heard. I didn't miss the point. Uncle Stu, it was said. Oh, and also the fact of when you're talking about the reparations part. I do want to touch on that because
no, we're not
there
going to
was
touch on that. We're going to touch
no
on that
right.
next week.
It was touched
we're
on
not
by.
going to touch on reparations. That's a next week topic. I'm sticking
No.
to the
I'm
video.
talking about the comment that Mr. Hale made. So I can't respond to the comment that Mr. Hale made.
No, we're going to deal with
Mr. Hale
reparations
said
next
that
week.
there.
No.
Mr. Hale said that there.
We're going to deal.
Oh my God.
With reparations
Okay.
next week. We're going to deal with
Okay, but Uncle
next
Stu,
week.
that's not fair because you allow yourself and someone else to talk about it, but you won't allow me to respond to what was said. I'm pinpointing all the conversations that was had.
That's going to be a next week conversation. Next week.
All right.
That's
so, okay. So now, overall, in my opinion, capitalism has its problems, has its pros and cons as everything else. But I want to see it. See, you want me to come back and talk about the religion aspect of it. So do you see what you just said with that?
No, Patrice. No, he asked you for both of it. He asked you for both reparations and that one.
Right, but the whole conversation regarding reparations got totally flipped around because it actually was supposed to be a debate between he and I, per him.
And what did I just say today?
What did you say?
Because the reason I said debate was the wrong word. And I said it was going to be an intellectual conversation based on this YouTube thing. I mean, this organization you talking about. But you've just proven my point when I said to you, we'll do this next week so that I have a chance to read the freaking thing. I don't have a chance to read it. I'm still dealing with stuff here as well as what's going on this platform. So,
okay, and maybe I walked away or something when you said that because I didn't hear it.
But what I'm not going to do is talk about that subject right here today and have that go on for the next 3 hours.
I was only going to respond to the point that Mr. Hale said about it. It's funny that you allow him to speak about it, but you won't allow me to respond to it. That's the part that I'm saying.
I made it clear. We're going to discuss this next week, next Saturday.
Okay, that's all I have to say about the points that I heard in the chat. So with all due respect to everybody, I'm going to go back in the chat and remove myself from the panel. Thanks, guys.
All right, you welcome.
All right.
All right, moving on.
All right. Now, Tim had to go because he had a situation that happened. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get with you, Pastor Troy. I'm going to get with, if you want to look him up, his name is Bolo TV. He's another YouTuber. He's out of the city of New York, but he has a YouTube channel, decent following. He's kind of known a lot in a lot of the manosphere spaces, but he's not really giving manosphere talk, but he's known in those spaces.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to get him, you, Hale. Mr. Vaughn had also mentioned coming on that type of a panel, where we can just have the discussion to be able to give that talk of the apology, you know what I'm saying? And what each one of our platforms can do to try to, as they would say with the old terminology, repair the breach. Matter of fact, there he is. Bolo, I just want you to listen. If you want to come up real quick, this is dealing with ministry. I'm gonna drop the link. Just come up for 1 second for me. so that way you have a total idea of what I would like to do.
And I think that's a real good idea for the about the pastors meeting. Was that what you was talking about, the panel? Being
Yes,
on
sir.
the panel? Yeah,
Bolo
that's
TV to kind of put you up. Bolo TV, meet Pastor Troy, Bolo TV.
How you doing, brother? Salutations.
all right. Salutations to you also, brother.
Bolo TV. I had Sir Hale Speaks up here earlier, and
Okay.
he was basically talking about, you know, he too is a pastor, but he was talking about how, you know, kind of like the Christian church kind of failed the community. And I said to him, let's get a Christian panel together, you know, even if I find some Muslims together, where
no doubt.
we can have that open discussion, and even what I would call the repair the breach of where the men of God repairs the breach with the brothers that we have lost, you know what I'm saying, especially in the 90s, so that we can have that open discussion and then collectively figure out what we can do to repair that breach. And this is what we're gonna call it, because he done gave it to me, the new ministry on the block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no doubt. I'm with that. That sounds
And
like
I
a
was
good
telling
conversation.
Pastor Troy, you know, he, you know, like I said, get in contact with Bolo. He has, you know, he had a decent channel and whatnot. So that way all the ministers are connecting to one another. You know what I'm saying? And
No doubt.
you know, we can put that panel together. And again, you still have your individual channel. Bolo TV got his, and you know, you still got your individual. You still try to build on your individuality, you know. But we're only coming together collectively just to say, okay, where are we? Where's the mistakes we made? Even explain it to the community. Here's where we're gonna agree that you're right. You know, this is what happened in the 90s. You're right. We pandered to the women. We did this. We did this. We did this. Now, here's how we're going to fix this.
Oh, no doubt. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
That, you know, everyone comes together, and we don't see that too much when it comes to being positive, and especially coming to talk about, you know, the word of God and rightly dividing the word of truth. You really don't see that. So I think that'll be definitely a power move in the spirit of the Lord. So I'm with that.
Right. I'm with that too.
Right. All right. Well, gentlemen, I am getting ready to shut this chat down. Thank you, Bolo, for showing up. While Lee got his power,
Thank you for having me, baby.
Power wrench now. You can't tell him nothing. You know.
Yeah, we barely even covered anything.
Yeah. And like I said, just get that package, read it, so we have something to discuss next Saturday.
Yeah, I'm already got the website. I'm gonna read it for sure.
Okay, excellent. All right, Bolo TV, one love
All right,
to you,
I'm
my
gonna
brother.
hit you up on the back end, brother.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night. Thank you,
All right,
Pastor
good
Troy.
night.
Appreciate
All right.
you coming by.
Okay, no problem.
All right.